This is Margaret.
This is Colleen.
And
we're the Cousins Weird.
And we're together!
Yay!
And I broke myself.
And she's broken. And if you don't follow us on Facebook, you should, because you know by now.
Yeah.
You're like, where are those two girls? Well, one of them's broken.
I slipped on my steps a week ago, it's a week and a half ago, and I broke my ankle, and it was horrifying.
She says broke. Her ankle was detached.
It was, the skin was attached.
Right.
But internally
there was not connected.
Internally, my foot was no longer connected to my leg.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And, it was floppy, and if I hadn't been in so much pain, I would have vomited. It was disgusting.
And she told me her foot, my aunt texted me and said, Margaret wants you to know that she thinks she broke her foot. Her foot's floppy. I went, ooh.
Yeah.
I just read the text and vomited in my mouth.
Yeah, it's like any kind of scene where I can't, breaking bones. It's just ho, 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 ho. It's gives you this, horrible, bone chill.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. My husband, because we're all home. It was Sunday. He's like, don't look at it. Margaret, don't look at it. Don't look at it. He was like, I don't want to look at it. Don't look at it.
You can't look at it.
He's like, don't look at it. Don't look. I almost passed out. It was a near thing. And, my husband said to me, I go, hey, I didn't pass out and I didn't puke. He goes, I would have passed out and then I would have woke up, crapped my pants and puked. He goes, I thought I was going to puke just looking at it.
It's so crazy what you can do, when something horrible like that happens, what you realize, it's the adrenaline or something gets you through it, and then afterwards, you're like, how did I do that? How did I make it?
And it was funny, because we had to go to the emergency room, and then I had to wait, and they had to do x-rays, and then they gave me pain medicine, and the x-rays, it was the most pain I've ever felt in my whole life. And I've had children, I've had a C-section, I've had appendicitis, and my appendix out, and they rate appendix as one of the highest pains you can get. This was the worst pain I've ever felt. It was
your foot detached.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And I kept even afterwards, I keep getting I'll just think about it out of nowhere, and it just grosses me out. And I just it's I can't stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it. It's
know.
It's horrific. It's horrific. It was awful.
Horrible. And
and it was my own clumsiness. And it's I slipped on the steps. Oh, I'll say, oh no, I was inside my house. There was no ice. Just myself.
It's those damn old Crocs.
Yeah, don't wear worn out Crocs, people, because they're dangerous.
Dangerous. And, Margaret and I are klutz. Klutzes? Yeah, we're klutzes.
I'm very much a klutz.
And we tend to trip over our own feet. But, if Margaret and I couldn't be more alike, now we both have metal inside our bodies.
Yay!
So we're the plated, screwed girls.
We're screwed.
We're screwed. So,
I gotta try to be as most like my father.
Yes. Yeah. Uncle Clarence is a accident-prone person.
And it's the DNA. I go, which DNA makes you accident-prone? Because I definitely got that from my dad.
Yeah. What's that? That strain?
The klutz gene. That passed out to me from my father, so. But my sister Renee, while I was still in the hospital, mind you, I don't even think I'd had surgery yet, she ordered me one of those knee scooters. Yeah. Which is freaking awesome.
Oh, thank God, right?
Yeah. It's not just I've been using a walker simply because I've been kind of unsteady. And,
right.
I was the pro at crutches in high school. I had a few pair. I had a couple of different knee braces. So I knew how to use crutches, but I'm 46 years old,
different.
and I'm fat, and it's a hell of a lot. I felt like I was going to fall over.
It's the worst.
Crutches.
And, when you break a leg, bone, knee, anything to do with your legs, feet, you lose the use of that, plus your arms in your crutches. So it's and then you develop, rashes in your armpits, and your elbows get tendinitis.
The bruises on your hands because you're holding your weight
there's
on your
so
hands.
much that happens, and this scooter thing is the best thing. Whoever thought of that.
Yes, I will say the walker I used a lot because it helps me stand up.
Yeah,
from a sitting position.
Yes, that does help,
which is helpful. And but man, as soon as I I can manage the pain pretty well, but it's like as soon as I stand up, like all of the blood
rushing
goes
to it,
and it starts to throb, and I can feel my incision burning. It's awful, but I don't feel that so much with a knee scooter because my knee's bent.
Yeah.
So like I don't have hard cast. I have one of those boots. I have to put it on. I have to when I'm not up and about. I don't wear the boot. So I'm sitting here with a...
At least you can scratch your leg.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
That makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. But like
Not that it makes... And this is good in any way, but if you can find a lining...
Yeah. I had to have a nerve... They gave me a nerve block before my surgery, and that lasted for... It's still kind of there. Like I can still feel numbness in my skin, like when you're... Like kind of like when your leg goes to sleep, and it feels like... I can feel
pins and needles a little bit.
It's a little pins and needles. Yeah, it's a little. I can just tell it.
It's almost like you have a glove on, trying to touch something, right?
Like I can feel it, but it feels weird.
Yeah, it's like numbed.
It's like it's like partially numb still, which is fine.
It's fine. Enjoy it.
Like stay numb as long as you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get uncomfortable and I get getting really bored. And I told Colleen, I go, you think with the amount of time I have on my hands, I could do like a 3-hour episode, but I just don't have the stamina.
Yeah, and you're in like, how do you focus when you're not comfortable? It's hard.
Yeah, and then you start writing, and like, I can't. And then you get distracted, and then you try to come back, you're like, well, where was I?
Yeah.
It's just like, so yeah, my episode this week is kind of short, but it's Irish because it's March.
It's March.
So all of March is Irish month.
I just wanted to say real quick, if we sound a little different, we're just in a different location.
We're at my mom's house.
Yes.
Because this is where I'm recuperating.
She has a nest here.
I really do.
And we're not going to move her from her nest.
And a lot of it, there's multiple reasons why I'm staying. I'm recuperating with my mom. My house, we have a lot of kids. And
you have a lot of levels.
There's a lot of levels to my house, and there's a lot of stairs in my house.
Yes.
And I can't even get into the first... Like, the main floor, there's a set of... Because it's a split level.
Yeah, you can't even get into your house without stairs.
Right. It has a full basement, but because of bedrock, my dad couldn't afford to blast to get the basement fully underground. So the basement's only half underground. So when you walk in my front door, there's half a flight of steps down to the basement, and half a flight of steps up to the main level. And then a full flight to the upper level where I sleep. So I'm like, especially right after I'm like, how am I going to get upstairs? How am I going to get in my house?
Yeah.
Like I'll just like sleep in front of the door.
Yeah, just live here.
I'll just put a chair down in front of the front door. Nobody needs to come in or out or anything. You have to use the side door, But it was just like and it's just easier. My mom doesn't work, so she can help me because I'm not supposed to be honest.
And she's feeding me by yourself because just being unstable.
Right, and I'm like...
Not mentally. Yeah, sometimes she is,
but... And my son is 19, but he's not a big kid. He's 4'7".
He's a little one.
He's fun sized. We used to say when he was little. And so I'm like, if I fell, he can't help me. Mm-hmm. Like, my mom...
And he's going to school.
Maybe able to help me, but it's like
at least she can get someone
I can't take care of the kids by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't feed them. Like, I can't feed myself. So it's just helpful. The kids get off the bus here, and my mom and dad have been awesome after that tangent.
That's okay. We
don't
catch
wear
them up.
back Crocs on your stairs so you slip and fall.
Yeah, don't fall.
And have a floppy foot. That's gross.
Exactly.
Yeah. If anyone wants, we can post pictures to the site.
If you want,
we should say graphic.
Yeah, we'll put them in a comment. If you want to see her picture, go to the comments, and if you don't, you just keep scrolling.
Right.
But some of us are weirdos, and we like to see that kind of thing. Yeah. And even though it grosses me out, I like to see that kind of thing.
Ugh, yeah.
Even though I get the heebie-jeebies from it, I still want to see it. Yeah.
We'll definitely post the X-ray, because X-rays are cool. I like them.
Yeah, X-rays are cool.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be talking about the legend of the Massereene Hound.
Ooh, never heard of this.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And this is kind of part legend, part cursed object. It's like both.
Okay.
It's 2 for 1.
Twofer.
Yes. So, somewhere around 1607, and it's folklore, and so there's there's a little haziness around the years here, because we're talking, it's 1600, so we're talking 17th century. A woman by the name of Mary or Marian, I've seen it both, Langford, she married Sir Hugh Clotworthy of Antrim Castle in Antrim County in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
Her husband was away from the castle frequently. There's lots of wars and skirmishes, and at this point in history, think this is just after Henry VIII.
Okay.
We're in the Renaissance coming out, we're in this time frame of history. So a lot of lords of castles, he was a sir, so I'm assuming he was a knight.
Right.
At this point, he wasn't a lord per se, but he was a knight. He was knighted. So, he was out of the castle a lot. And of course, she's a young new bride. She's kind of bored and lonely. So at this point, she's spending a lot of time walking around, exploring the grounds around the castle. And one day, while out on one of her walks, she found herself cornered by a wolf. Like, she hears a growl, she turns around, and there's a wolf, and she's kind of in an area where she felt she couldn't really run away.
Right.
And so she's terrified. And then she heard a dog barking, and out of nowhere, there appeared an Irish wolfhound, which, in my opinion, is one of the best dogs ever.
They're super cool.
I probably would never own one, but they're gigantic and awesome.
Yeah, they are cool.
They're one of my favorite dogs. And he charged at the wolf. And at this point, Lady Mary did what all good, proper ladies of the time would do. And she fainted. She fainted, yes. And when she woke from her faint, she found the dog lying next to the bloody carcass of the wolf.
So that dog took care of that wolf.
He did. He protected her. This dog is not her dog. It's just a dog that was in the woods. And she could see that the dog, this heroic dog, was wounded. So she brought it down to the river to clean its wounds. And after she was done, she said the dog just disappeared before her eyes. Like, It was there, and then it was gone. She's like, okay. And the tale of the dog that saved the lady spread throughout the area. So, It became known. Like, she went back home and said, oh, you'll never believe what happened to me. I got saved by this dog that ran off or disappeared. Quite a few years later, it was in the middle of winter. It was nighttime. There's a rain and windstorm raging outside. So there's lots of noise, howling wind, rain pummeling the castle. And then the castle was awoken by the howling of a dog. And it was howling, and eventually the sound of this dog grew louder than the storm outside. So they're like, what the hell's going on outside? Right. There's this dog howling. What's going on? And so Sir Hugh rounded up some of his men and sent them outside to investigate. And they found, when they went outside and they're looking around the castle grounds, they see a large band of Irish invaders ready to capture the castle. At this point, I should mention that Sir Hugh was English.
Okay.
And he was gifted this castle from English lords.
Okay.
So, we're in this time in Ireland, we're coming up to, in the next 60 years or so, there's going to be, like a civil war between the Protestants. And we're talking, Jacobite versus King James and Queen Mary. This is coming up. He was given this land in Ireland. So he's not Irish, although his wife, I believe, is Irish.
Okay.
So even he's living in Ireland, Northern Ireland. This is the northern part of Ireland. So he's there, and he sees these Irish invaders outside, but because of the howling of the dog brought them outside, they were prepared, and they held the invaders off, and they chased them away. They shot cannons at them and all of this. So they're still, come dawn, they're still kind of wandering around the grounds, making sure there's nobody hiding or they haven't, run away to come back.
Right.
When they find a carcass of a dog, the Irish wolfhound, this woman said it was the same dog that saved her, but this dog was dead and was laying on the grounds, just in the castle that had been killed. Right. And so, Hugh, being a superstitious man, even though he's not Irish, but we Irish are superstitious people, I'll tell you. He, said, this dog saved my wife's life. It saved our lives. It saved the castle. We'd all be dead. So around 1612, 1617, this fuzzy, hazy edges around the years here, Sir Hugh commissioned a 3-foot-tall statue of this dog to be made, and he placed the statue on one of the towers near the gateway of Antrim Castle. And he said this dog will continue to protect the castle and its inhabitants. And he eventually became known as the Massereene Hound. Okay. And I was curious as to where the word Massereene came from. And in 1660, the John Clotworthy, who's a descendant of Hugh, and I could not find how, if it was his son or his grandson, because there's no information I could find, was given the title of Viscount Massereene.
Okay.
Massereene. From the British crown or the English crown.
Okay.
Like, the English-Irish crowns are kind of
like a viscount?
the same thing. Yes, he's a viscount. And eventually they became an earl.
Okay.
But yeah, he was given, and that's where the Massereene came from, is from the name of the title. Like, it's the lord title.
That's the relative of the king, or the lord.
This is what the title they bestowed upon, because, like, even though their last name was Clotworthy, the title's name was Massereene.
Okay.
So that's where that came from, and I think it might have been named after something in the area, like somebody else's, something.
Right.
But that's where the Massereene Hound, because he was part of the castle, was Lord Massereene.
Gotcha.
Sir Hugh stated that the statue was to remain there and never be moved. And he was convinced that the dog would ward the castle from harm or doom them to their deaths. And that it should never be moved, otherwise the family would face, in quotation marks, decay. Right? So that dog was there for quite a long time. And then
good.
In the 18th century, it was the 17th century, there was, so hazy with all these dates, but there was renovations being done to the castle, and there were men hired to move the dog statue, the hound.
Okay.
And they had used chisels, and when they were chiseling him to move him, they accidentally broke his tail off. And they left the tail there, but they moved him to another wall near the gate entrance. So he was no longer on the top of the tower. He was on a 10-foot wall instead. So he was lower down. He's in a different spot.
He has half a tail.
And his tail got broke off, and he's mad. Right?
Yeah. So,
not long after this relocation, the Williamite War started. And this is 1689 to 91 is when the Williamite War occurred in Ireland. And what this was, it was a conflict between the Jacobite supporters, and those were Catholic supporters of King James II or the 7th, depending on where you are, and the supporters and the Williamites, and those were the people who supported William III, who was the husband of Mary II, who was the daughter of James.
Okay.
She was a Protestant. So this is anybody who watches Outlander or knows anything about Scottish history, the Jacobites were the mostly Scottish supporters of King James.
Right.
And they wanted a Catholic king. So this is the original war that was...
Oh, okay.
This is the original with King James and his daughter.
Right.
And his daughter's husband, because they were Protestant even though he was Catholic. And so they deposed him. They said, we're ruling. Because we're Protestant. And this is right after the Reformation in England and King Henry and no more Catholicism.
Right.
Banning all that. So, during this war, the Jacobite general, Richard Hamilton, raided Antrim Castle, which makes sense because they would be Protestants because they were English. Right. Right? And he stole most of the valuables that were there in the castle. We're talking roughly, at the time, £3,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Basically, stole everything all their wealth. Yes. And then again, there's a lot of history involved. The Clotworthys eventually moved back to England and they left Ireland. So they just kind of we're done. Goodbye. Yes. In 1922, a fire destroyed the castle, and it was rumored to be started by the IRA, but there's no proof. A lot of people think it was the IRA that did it. And what remained of the castle reportedly looked like the stump of the dog's tail. Oh. So, they burned...
What was left was the dog's tail.
Yeah, it looked like the stump, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But the hound was saved, and it's probably due to the fact that he'd been moved, and he was in the gardens now. Because they had, beautiful gardens at this castle. And the local government is in the process of restoring these gardens at Antrim, because the castle's basically, you can't even really say it's a ruin. There's some towers left and some brick, but it's mostly gone. They demolished it after the fire because it was dangerous.
Not safe, yeah.
Right. And, but the castles are there and they're restoring the gardens are still there and they're restoring the gardens.
And the hound is there?
He's there still, yeah.
How cool.
You can go see him with no tail.
Poor guy.
Yep.
Lost his tail. Should have kept him where he was.
This is where the hound rests to guard and protect the gardens and the town, and hopefully he likes the view.
Hopefully.
Because if he doesn't like the view, then there's...
Maybe they should make him another tail. Just in case.
Just in case. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. But yeah, it was short and...
I like it. It was cute. It was a cute story, actually.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I feel like good Irish tale.
Yeah. You know, I should have thought of doing an Irish thing for my terrible trends this week, but I did not.
Do your main episode of the Irish.
Yes, I'll do my main one next week. It'll be the Irish one.
I'll do another one that's Irish too, because there's another.
I think we can do all the whole
month.
March, right? Yeah,
why not?
For sure. Because it's the whole month.
Even though I did my ancestry DNA, and I'm more Scottish than I am Irish.
You and I both.
And it's funny, like, I'm mostly English, and then Scottish, and then Irish, but if you add up my Scottish and Irish, it's more than the English, so I'm more Gaelic than English.
I'm like 49% Scottish.
Which is crazy.
And then English, like Northern, and then something
because you look like Black Irish, probably.
Yeah.
Your family, although you're technically blonde.
I was a blonde.
I forget that you're a blonde.
Yeah.
Anybody that's ever seen Colleen, especially since she's been older,
would never believe.
You haven't had blonde hair in 30 years.
Yeah, I think I started dyeing my hair when I was 16, 15. Red, and then it went dark after that. Yeah. It was like, red or dark.
And it's so funny because, like, I've known Colleen her whole life, and even I have a hard time visualizing her with blonde hair.
Well, really though, if you remember, like, when I was like 12, and I started hitting puberty, it darkened. Like,
this is more of a light brown.
Griffin's hair color is what my hair color should be. Like my son's hair color, which is weird because my son is half, well, technically not half because his father's Thai.
Half Thai, yep.
And so Griffin's like quarter Thai. And you would think just that much would be enough. But it wasn't. He looks like my family. Like completely. Blue eyes.
Ruby.
I know.
She doesn't look Asian at all. No. Not a lick.
That's why her and Griffin there's something there.
But I mean, your kids get half their DNA from you and half from your spouse. And if, like, my spouse is half Korean, doesn't mean they're not going to get
all the Korean parts. DNA. Yeah, it's just crazy. You would think, well, it's funny because if your siblings get you ancestry done, like you do it, you're like, my brother and I are totally different percentages of the DNA, like different. And the same with you and it's weird because Margaret's sister, Renee, and I show up as being second cousins. Which is weird. And Margaret and I, who have been mistaken as twins when we were younger, now, I don't think we look that much alike now. No. I think we look related, but
like, at least your first cousins, and Colleen and I have the least amount of DNA in common.
And Jessica and I have way more than you and I do.
I have more in common with Lee than I do with you.
I know, it's so weird.
And my cousin Dawn, who lives downstate, Tennessee, I have the most DNA in common with her of all my cousins. So
my cousin,
if you're
Donnie,
listening, Dawn, you're my sister cousin.
Yeah, that's what my cousin Donnie and I have really. He almost could be a sibling. It's just weird how genetics are cool. They really are.
And my aunts,
curiosity of it.
Your mom and I have the most common DNA. I have more in common with your mom than I do with any of my other aunts or uncles.
I think my Aunt Marilyn and I have.
You look more like your dad.
Yeah, I have. Most of my stuff, like my percentages, are from my dad's side. Like the things. Yeah,
but it's funny because like you only get 50%. You get 50% of from your mom and your dad. So your mom and dad are equal. But just what you have more in common with is my mom.
Those genetics are in there. Yeah, crazy.
I heard you say Colleen is like a second cousin.
Renee and I are second cousins.
This doesn't really seem right.
I know. Doesn't make sense, but
that's my dad. If anybody's listening,
no, you're fine.
You're fine.
I thought you were just talking.
Well, we are.
You're doing your
podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I'm out. You're fine.
I think Dawn will like hearing you. She listens to their podcast. She does occasionally. Yeah. So she'll definitely have to listen to this one.
So, we haven't announced this yet, but guess who was invited back to AnchorCon?
It's us.
It's us. I know, that's not hard to guess, but that's going to be us. And we're going to be there, and we're going to do a live show again. And we're super excited. We had so much fun last time, and they must have liked us, and we must have got good.
Was it June?
August.
Okay.
I don't have the dates.
If I'm still in a boot by then, I'm gonna be mad.
I'll wheel you in there.
I'll probably be at that point. If I'm still in a boot, it's a walking boot.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is a walking boot.
Can you walk on it?
I can't yet. No. Like, I'm not supposed to put any for 6 weeks. I'm off my foot.
I have to look it up. So AnchorCon 2023 is. Oh, it's helpful if I had that ready before I did that. AnchorCon 2023 is August 19th through the 20th. Of course, it's for you on your anniversary weekend every time. It's in the Clayton Arena, and it's Friday evening through Sunday. But I don't know which day we'll announce the day that we're live, like we did before, that our live show will be. But we'll be there for the whole weekend. Have a table. Come see us. If you're in the area and you like nerdy things, you'll love AnchorCon. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. And maybe we'll get my nephew, our roadie, to help us again this year. We'll see.
It would be nice this year if we actually merch to sell.
Yeah.
Be very nice.
Maybe we can start ahead of time to get things. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll be at AnchorCon, a live show, and we'll put out we'll record it so that we can play it afterwards. But definitely, when you're there, it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. It's very interactive, and we talk to you, and you can talk back, and we don't make you sit around and be quiet because we're recording, because that's silly.
Right. We're interactive.
Yes. And make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you know what day we're going to be live. And then you can follow us because we post our episodes there. You'd know if Margaret broke her ankle, wouldn't you? Because I posted it. And all the pictures from our episodes are there, so you're able to see what we're talking about.
And if you'd like to reach out to us, you can send us an email at thecousinsweird@gmail.com. Or you can send us a direct message through Facebook or Instagram. Reach out to us. Tell us if you have any. We're trying to collect Dollar Tree stories.
Yeah, or like Walmart.
Yeah. Your shopping experiences going to like a dollar store or a Walmart.
If you've had some bizarre happenings.
Yes.
Because we've talked about them in past, then we are like, it's so bizarre things happen at one of our local Dollar Trees. But if you've had a weird experience at any retail place or out in public, just bizarre, like, I can't believe that just happened, let us know. We're trying to do an episode on it because we think it's just hysterical. Yeah. And also kind of scary. Yeah. Because people should not behave that way.
No. And if you have a weird, scary story, let us know that too.
Yes, we want to hear your weird stories. Did you have a haunting? Have you experienced any kind of supernatural thing? What about aliens? What about weird things? You just let us know.
Things. And you can support us by liking our podcast, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, give us a rating, share us with your friends. It's like the best way to do it.
That's the best way to support us.
But you can also do it monetarily.
Yeah, through patreon.com/thecousinsweird. For $1 a month, become Freaky Friend, and you get a free sticker and bonus episodes. And then for $5 a month, become a Terrible Trender. Get the same thing, but you also get ad-free episodes, a yearly gift, and a monthly Skype chat. And I can't believe I remembered all that, and it's been so long since I said it.
I know, good job.
So proud of myself.
Good job, your brain's working.
Somehow.
Yes. So, stay freaky.
Bye! Bye!